Hello everyone, today I'm going to walk you through the steps for how to format a play. First thing you're going to want to do is get into Google Classroom and find an assignment. There's one waiting for you usually. So you'll click the Open button and you'll notice that there isn't a Google document prepared for you already, so you'll need to create your own. So click on Create Docs and Google Docs is creating one for you. It will have your name on it. There it is. When it pops up, go ahead and click on that. You'll see there's a new tab that's opening up. The Google Doc has been created for you, and there are a few really important things that we need to change at the onset of writing our play. So go ahead and get into the font section up here at the top in the toolbar. Click on that, and for a script, for a play, you'll want to select Courier New. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Then you click on the font size. It should be 12. And also, you'll click on the line spacing button, and it will be single spaced. So those are a few changes from MLA formatting. For one, it's Courier New. Also, it's single spaced, but it does say stay size 12 font. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the title page. And you should always have a title page for your play. And the first thing you want to do is hit Enter 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're working in Google Docs, if you're using Word, you'll hit the hit the Enter bar 10 times. But since we're in Docs, I only hit it 5. And now you're going to title your play. You'll want to hit the Center button because on the title page, the title will be centered. And also, your title will be in all caps. This is just a reminder to create a better title later, but I wanted to show you it should be in all caps. Next, you need to type A play, which is what it is, and A play should be capitalized, but not in all caps. Click the Enter button again and type by. By is not capitalized, although it might look incorrect to you. That is actually how you should type it. And then you'll want to type your first and last name. Okay. Next, I'm going to hit Enter just a few times to create some space here between this and what will ultimately be the heading at the bottom right-hand corner of my title page. So the heading will consist of your name again, and actually it's all going to be on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, my apologies. So I'm going to get up here where it says Right Align, click that button, and type the heading, which will include my name, your name. Type Enter, and next is the teacher's name. Hit Enter, the class name, and the date. Today happens to be 14 January 2016, and make sure that you do type the date in this way. Now, as I mentioned, the heading is actually supposed to be at the bottom right-hand corner of the title page, so I'm going to move my cursor and start pushing this thing down, making sure that I don't spill over to the next page. When January disappears like that, to get it back up, I need to just click somewhere in this white space and hit the backspace bar until it appears again. Now that it does, I'm going to hit near the 2016 mark, at the very end actually. Hit Enter so that I'm on the new page, and we're going to start creating your script. You need to hit Left Align, and you need to type your characters in your setting. So I'm going to go ahead and type the word characters and hit Enter. Your characters' names will always be in all caps if they're in stage directions or whenever you have them centered, indicating who's actually saying which lines. So I'll type the character's name, Professor Mary Lou, and I need a comma and just a short, very short description of what this character needs to be. She needs to be a teacher in her 40s. No period. Next we have Briar, who's another character type his name in all caps. You need a comma and a little description. A student in his early 20s, let's say. Again, no period. I'm going to hit enter a couple of times so there's a little bit of space between characters and the setting. So I type the word setting, hit enter. The setting will be her office, and it will be the present. It's important to have where it's taking place and when it's taking place. Next, I want to underline characters, the word characters, and the word setting. Okay, we have those things figured out. Now I'm going to hit enter again. Again, I want a little bit of space between these different categories, and it's time to add some stage directions. And this is where you decide what you want to have the stage look like when the play begins. And this is also where I'm going to introduce you to using this little guy up here at the top in order to do your stage directions. We're going to mess with the ruler. As you can see here, I'm hovered over the triangle, for lack of a better way of describing it, and it says left indent when I highlight it. Now I'm hovering over the rectangle and it says first line indent. You're always going to want to grab and move the triangle. And I'll show you here that the rectangle and the triangle stay together when you grab the triangle. If you don't, if you grab the rectangle instead, notice how they separate. And you're always going to want to keep them together when you're making your stage directions. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the triangle and move it over to 3.5. That's pretty standard. That's where all of your stage directions will live. And almost always you're going to start with lights up to reveal. And this is where you describe what's going on the stage when your play begins. So lights up to reveal Mary sitting at her office desk, intently typing a play. Period. Okay, you'll notice too while I was typing this that everything remained left justified. That's because I used this ruler, and so it makes everything a lot nicer, neater, cleaner to work with. So now I'm going to hit enter again, and our play is going to really truly begin. Again, you'll want a little bit of space between these different things here, so I'm going to hit enter one more time. And now it's time for my character to speak. So I'm going to drag this bar, this triangle, back to the gray, to my 1-inch margin, and type my character's name. The characters' names are always going to be centered, but again, they need to be centered once you're already back here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to click the center button and type in my first character's name, Mary. She's going to do the talking first, and hit enter. And then it's really easy from here to start dialogue, which is always going to be on the left-hand side, to just hit the backspace button, and it defaults. It brings us all the way back to the left. Now, if there are brief descriptions that need to precede dialogue, it's okay to write those here before the dialogue ever begins. So we'll say, actually I forgot to mention that there's a knock on the door. That's what starts the play, truly. So Mary hears this knock, and let's say she doesn't answer right away. So we'll type after a moment, period. Even though it's not a complete sentence, you need a period. And these are, again, these are stage directions, but they're brief enough that they can precede the dialogue. She says, "Come in." And notice there are no quotation marks like you would usually have in a short story when somebody is speaking. All right, she says, "Come in," and then Briar is going to enter. We need to tell the director that Briar is going to enter, so we need to add more stage directions. So I'm going to drag the triangle back over here to 3.5. And I'm going to use parentheses, as you'll notice I did up here, from here on out. In fact, the only place you don't use parentheses when you're giving stage directions is right at the very beginning. So let's say enter Briar, and again, all caps for his name, with a backpack slung over his shoulder. Period. end parentheses. We're going to hit enter, and you may have started noticing that there's going to be a little bit of space between each of the different categories. I don't know what else to call them, but there's also going to be a little bit of space between character name, dialogue, and stage directions. So I hit enter. I'm going to hit enter one more time so there's a little bit of space. Drag the ruler back to the left-hand side, and let's pretend that Mary is actually the first one to talk. So she's interrupted by stage directions, so we're going to type it like this. Mary continued. Alright, now she's going to go ahead and speak. Again, she'll say, "Hi, Briar. Come in. Sit down." Alright, and you'll notice this time I didn't capitalize. Sorry, I don't have Briar in all caps. That's because when his name appears in dialogue, it's not going to be in all caps. It's only when it's in the stage directions and listed as the character who's going to be speaking that it's going to be in all caps. So they start to have a conversation. Again, there's a little bit of space between the character's name and the dialogue when they change. So I'm going to hit enter again. Briar's going to talk this time. Enter, backspace, and he says, "Thanks, Professor Lou." Okay, and they go on and have a pleasant conversation with each other, I'm sure. When you get to the very end of your play, there's a couple last things that you have to do. So I'm just going to pretend our play ended, and I'm going to just make a little bit of space because these things will actually come. Sorry, I lied. Hold on. Okay, I lied. Alright, so I'm going to hit enter, enter, after the last person speaks, and we're going to have some stage directions to finish the play. So use your triangle, scroll it over to 3.5, and let's have Briar exit. What do the lights do? They fade as Mary returns to typing her play. Okay. So you always want to finish your play with stage directions to let the director know how you want it to end. And then we're going to hit enter a couple more times. Drag the triangle back to our 1-inch margin. Hit center, and the last thing you type is end of play in all caps with a period, and you are finished. Your formatted play is correct and ready for submission. Don't forget to hit turn in when you're finished.